Welcome back to the Takeout. Thanks for hanging out with us. Michigan Democrats, well, they've got kind of a muscular primary for the United States Senate, all to replace Senator Gary Peterson, who has announced he's not seeking re-election. I want to bring in one of those candidates, Abdul El-Sayed. He's a physician, prominent member of the Michigan public health community. He also ran for governor in 2018. I'm glad to have you on the program. I don't want to bum you out, but I know you've seen this, but one of your opponents, State Senator Mallory McMorrow, who also positions herself as a progressive candidate in this primary, today got a video endorsement from Connecticut Democrat Chris Murphy. I want to play a little bit of that for you and get your reaction.
This is a time where we just need new voices in the Senate, and voices like yours. I mean, Mallory, you've won in a deep red district. You've got this reputation as somebody who takes on big, powerful interests and wins, and that's exactly what we need right now in the United States Senate.
Okay. How do you respond?
Well, I'll say this. I got a lot of respect for both Senator McMorrow and Senator Murphy, but I'm honored to have the endorsement of someone who's actually won votes in Michigan, which is Senator Bernie Sanders. And more importantly, we're out and about my state, 70 different cities now, 200 public events. And folks understand what consistency looks like. I ran for governor 8 years ago, and I was saying the same things then. Donald Trump himself is not the disease of our politics. He's just the worst symptom of the disease of our politics. The disease is the corporate money, the billionaires who are buying and selling politicians. I've never taken corporate money, unlike both of my opponents in this primary and in the general. And for that reason, I can call it straight. I can fight for Medicare for all. I can stand up and talk about terms of engagements when data centers try to come to our towns. And I can stand up to the corporate utilities who are making that way too easy while not improving both our rates or our liability for electricity. So there's a lot that folks are worried about right now. And what a senator in Connecticut thinks is probably not one of them.
When you think about Joe Biden winning Michigan in 2020 and then President Trump re-winning it in 2024, what happened and why, and what are the lessons from that you believe fuel your candidacy?
I think the important thing to understand here is that so long as Democrats don't have a positive affirmative vision, a narrative for what is happening, I worry a lot about our ability to win elections. Donald Trump had a very clear narrative, albeit wrong. He told you that if you were out of a job, it was because an immigrant took your job. If you were out of a home, immigrant took your home. Out of healthcare, immigrant took your healthcare. For us, we have a clear narrative. If you're out of a job or a home or healthcare, it's probably because a corporation figured out how to either speculate on one of those things, raise your rates, or figure out how to automate or offshore you out of a job. And we have to be willing to speak to our own narrative. The problem, though, is too often Democrats are taking the same money from the same corporations who are part of the problem. And so for me, I've been out there being clear about what I think the problem is. We want to get money out of politics, money in your pocket, and pass Medicare for all. And if we can't do those things, we can't talk about how we do them, I worry a lot about our ability to win this race in 2026 and win the future in 2028.
If you were to be in the United States Senate, would you ever vote to appropriate a single dollar to Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, otherwise known as ICE?
Look, Major, I was in Minneapolis earlier this week. I wanted to go and see for myself what it felt like, what it looked like. I want you to imagine the sound of a whistle, the kind that you might hear at a soccer practice. Now, I want you to imagine hearing those on every corner, which has now become the sound of an imminent ICE raid. That is an awful thing. And that's what it sounds like when your own government tries to lay siege to a city in your country. And that's what's happening right now. I've been clear that we need to abolish ICE because ICE is not about immigration enforcement. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force in thrall to one man at the White House against our Constitution. And I think it needs to be abolished. I still believe, though, we have to keep our southern border safe and secure. I still believe that there is a role for some kind of immigration enforcement. But when you start recruiting people who are ill-equipped to do this job, who do not understand the basic responsibilities of being a part of law enforcement, who cover their faces and carry weapons and then shoot a mom in the face and tell them that's okay, I think at that point there is a mold in that house. And here's the thing about it. Just because you don't want a house with black mold in it doesn't mean that you don't want a home. We've got to start from scratch and move forward from there. And I think that starts with abolishing ICE. So your answer is no.
Democratic candidate for Senate in Michigan, Abdul El-Sayed. I appreciate the time, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Major.